For decades, Bed Bath & Beyond wasn't just a store. It was practically a rite of passage. But in April 2023, this absolute giant of retail filed for bankruptcy. It left so many of us wondering, how could a brand that was so woven into the fabric of American life just disappear? Okay, let's get into it.
And it all started with this, right? The iconic blue coupon. I mean, getting one of these in the mail felt like winning a small lottery. It wasn't just 20% off. It was basically permission, an invitation to go explore. This little piece of paper was at the very heart of the company's identity.
And that coupon was your ticket to what really felt like a treasure hunt. The whole strategy inside the store was famously called Pilot High, Let It Fly. The aisles were just jammed with stuff. Kitchen gadgets you never knew you needed, towers of towels, you name it. That feeling of discovery, that was the magic. That's what made it so popular.
So the big question is, what went wrong? How does a company with that kind of brand loyalty, that winning formula, end up in bankruptcy court, selling off the pieces? That's exactly what we're going to break down.
First, let's just take a step back and really appreciate how big these guys were at their peak. Bed Bath & Beyond was a true category killer, a superstore that totally changed the game for home goods.
I mean, look at this timeline. The speed of their growth is just staggering. They start as a single store in 1971, basically invent the home goods superstore in the 80s, go public in 92, and by 2015, they are a $12 billion a year giant. And let's not forget that acquisition of Bye Bye Baby in 2007 was a genius move that made them essential for a whole new generation of families.
But here's the thing. Even when they looked completely invincible, some really serious problems were brewing just beneath the surface. The foundation was starting to crack long before anyone saw the building fall.
So if you were just looking at the top line, the total revenue, you might think, hey, everything's fine. Revenue was holding steady at around $12 billion a year. But the real story, the one that matters, is in the gross margin. It was tanking. That means the actual profit they were making from selling stuff was shrinking fast. Why? Because those famous coupons and the rising costs of shipping for online orders were eating them alive.
Well, by 2019, some very serious people, activist investors, had definitely had enough. They launched what's called a proxy fight, which is basically a full-on battle for control of the company. They publicly blasted the leadership for destroying over $8 billion in shareholder value. And their main argument? That the company had completely failed to figure out omni-channel shopping. Making it easy for you to shop online, in the store, or both seamlessly.
So with all this pressure, the board brings in a new CEO, Mark Tritton, from Target. His job was to turn the whole ship around. But he made two key decisions that, in hindsight, were just absolutely fatal.
The first decision was a massive financial gamble. To try and boost the stock price and project confidence, the company spent a staggering $1 billion buying back its own stock. Now that can sometimes work, but for Bed Bath & Beyond, it was like draining their emergency savings account right before a hurricane was about to hit.
And the second decision? Oh man, it was a complete 180 on their entire strategy. Tritton decided to ditch the trusted brands everyone loved, your Cuisinarts, your KitchenAids, and replace them with a bunch of unfamiliar in-house brands. And at the same time, he cut way back on those famous coupons. So in one fell swoop, they got rid of the two main reasons people walked in the door.
And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, bam, the global supply chain crisis hits. This meant all those new private label products, which are mostly made overseas, couldn't even get to the stores. So during the most important time of the year, the holidays, you had customers walking into stores with empty shelves. The old brands were gone, and the new stuff wasn't even there. It was an unmitigated disaster.
You put all this together, the cash is gone, the strategy is a mess, the customers are confused and angry, and the company enters what can only be described as a death spiral.
And that final year, it was just pure, unadulterated chaos. A new CEO desperately tries to get emergency money, then the company gets sucked into the whole meme stock craze, an activist investor, Ryan Cohen, buys a massive stake, the stock goes to the moon, and then he sells everything 5 months later, crashing it back to earth. By January 2023, they missed their loan payments, the lenders call on their debts, and, well, the game was over. And if you need to see the final nail in the coffin, this is it. Just look at this. Compare holiday sales from 2021 to 2022. Sales fell off a cliff, dropping by nearly $700 million in a single quarter. With no money coming in, they couldn't pay anyone. There was simply no way out. But, and this is where the story gets kind of weird, it doesn't actually end in bankruptcy court. While the physical stores and the company itself were dead, the brand,
The name was still seen as valuable. So in the bankruptcy auction, the company gets carved up and sold off for parts. But look at what was actually valuable. It wasn't the stores. The online retailer Overstock.com paid over $21 million just for the Bed Bath & Beyond name and website. The Bye Bye Baby brand got snapped up too. The physical stores were worthless, but the names lived on.
And here is the big twist in the story. Overstock.com didn't just buy the name. They rebranded their entire company as Beyond Inc. They are now trying to resurrect the Bed Bath & Beyond brand online and through new partnerships with other stores. So in a way, the brand is getting a second chance.
Okay, so let's zoom out. After all that chaos, what can we actually learn from this spectacular retail collapse? What are the big takeaways here?
It really boils down to three huge lessons. First off, financial discipline is everything. That $1 billion stock buyback left them completely exposed. Second, you have to know your customer. They threw away the exact things their most loyal shoppers came for. And finally, confidence is currency. Once their suppliers and lenders lost faith, the whole system just seized up. It became impossible to operate.
And that really leaves us with the big lingering question. The Bed Bath & Beyond name is back online, and it's trying to reappear in other stores. But is it really the same? Can a totally different company successfully bring back a beloved brand that has so much history? Or is it just a name now, a ghost of that treasure hunt we all used to love? I guess we'll have to wait and see.